Good morning, everybody. This is Judith A. Pope. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. How was your weekend? I had a great weekend. So many great meals, great conversations. I feel very loved. Uh, Thank you for all the birthday energy. It's my new year. I'm starting, well, my business isn't new, but I'm starting to work again for myself. And if you go way back to the early episodes of this podcast, a lot of it was around me working for myself. And then you hear me have to go get another job, and then you start to hear me go on the journey of taking care of my mom, which I thought was a little job, and then it turned into a huge job. But, you know, uh, you guys know the rest. So it's an interesting time to be me. It's all about new things. This eclipse that we had yesterday, out with the old, in with the new. I think it was in Virgo. We got a new moon eclipse in Virgo, whatever all that means. I am a Virgo. This is still Virgo season. Uh, but I think today is the first day of Libra season. So just hang in there. Things are going to be chaotic. As expected, they used the Charlie Kirk murder as some sort of huge propaganda event. And this is where people are going to really feel deceived. If you are uh, pro Charlie and pro MAGA and all of that stuff, you're going to really start to see that you're being led by Decepticons because uh, they had to know this was coming for him, and they had to know that it was probably uh, orchestrated on our soil by another country because he began to betray his funders. And that's why you should never take money from people. No, it's hard to say because he was so young when he decided to take on this money. And you're dropping out of junior college, uh, and someone gets you, a couple $1 million to spout their message. You get excited about it, you know, and it's hard to say don't take the money, but whoever has the money controls you though. So I don't care if you're young or old, don't sign it. It's like these record contracts. It's the same thing. They know that you want to make music. They know you want to be popular. They know you want to be out there, uh, even get famous. So they give you the shittiest contract you could ever sign. And now the modern record company gathers blackmail on you so they can keep you in that contract, even when you're ready to, complain. You're gonna complain. We got videos of you doing unimaginable things with children and animals, and we knocked you out cold, so you don't have to worry. You look like you're very into it, and I mean, who knows what blackmail will look like in the age of AI, and who knows if people have been using AI much longer than they've allowed us to use it. So you're gonna have to be very discerning, and not just about what you think, but who you're associated with, where you go, how you conduct your business. You're going to have to you're going to have to develop a spiritual x-ray vision because everybody that's smiling and walking up to you and shaking a hand isn't your friend. Sometimes things are just a setup. And to use this man's funeral as some huge propaganda event, knowing good and well y'all know why he got killed and for the reason why he got killed. And it's the same reason why half of y'all are scared to say shit because you don't want to get killed. I mean, for real, we're in some sort of thriller. Not the good music record by the good music record, not by the good album by Michael Jackson. I mean, we're in a suspense film. They used to make these kind of movies in the 80s and 90s, and you wouldn't think anything of it, you know. Like this was what they made. Uh-oh. Whew, I had to yawn. Excuse me. I got a great night's sleep, but I always have to take something to get a good night's sleep. Hmm. Anyway, I digress. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is how a 90s thriller would play out, like some sort of suspense movie. Because, but now that I look back on it, they almost never had, it was always somebody foreign, but it was never an Israeli assassin. I mean, America's done a masterful job, you know, not talking about Israel and seeing that there's a large number of Jewish people that run the entertainment industry. If you think about it, if you go back, it was when Michael Jackson started calling Jewish people, devils and stuff, that he really had his troubles too. I don't know. I know some really wonderful Jewish people. I really do. They're the kindest people I've ever met. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some bad apples in the bunch. There's bad apples of everything, you know. That's why I don't do generalizations. You can't say all black people are one thing, or all rich people are one thing, or all whatever are one thing. Nothing's ever one thing. That's why it's so strange that Charlie Kirk took such an extreme, dramatic approach on race, and he called himself being friends with Candace Owens, who I could understand why some people would be like, well, she's like a white woman, but she's not. She looks very black. So it's like, I'm telling you, people adopt these personas, and then the persona has to double down because the persona is the thing that's making the money. I think that's Drake's problem. I think Drake believes he's Drake and not Aubrey Graham. Aubrey Graham is a nerd, and that's okay. Women like nerds. I like his R&B singing better than his rapping any day. Give me Take Care any day. That record was great, and that's 2011. And then in the hip hop game, you just got to be hard and you got to have bodies on you and all. But that's his persona. That's not him. I mean, he might have tried to morph into his persona by now, but Charlie had a persona too. They all create a persona. And it's the persona that goes out in the world and makes all the money, and then you have to double down on it because nobody wants you to change, but also you like making money. You like being famous. You like people listening to you. It's addictive. But it's nothing but the fame machine, and it'll snatch your soul. You need to pay attention to who you pay attention to. Some of these people are definitely tortured. And Charlie Kirk was getting pressure from his base. Like, you talk about being a Christian. You talk about being a sincere, honest Christian with values, and you're approving of a genocide. They had to turn on him. Those are mob rules. You got all this power and influence, and you could possibly overthrow this MAGA love, and there goes JD Vance, or the party would force you to put Kirk on Vance's ticket, and these people know killers. Okay, we think we've evolved past, I'll just stab you to death and take over the empire. We haven't. That's exactly what we're watching play out in front of us. You cannot convince me otherwise. There's a lot going on, and people are taking things into their own hands to move people around. Whistleblowers are getting assassinated too. People are being moved in and out, and it's not all been natural causes, and it hasn't all been suicide. Watch House of Cards when it was good. When it was good, before Kevin Spacey gets written off the show. Watch it. It was very, very, very dark and sinister. And I think that's the era we've entered. And the only way out is through. So you have to stay encouraged. You have to stay uh, motivated, stay centered, have faith, and know that this is part of God's divine orchestration. In order for things to come to an end, you have to go through seasons like this where people are going to be challenged to believe what they see and beyond. You're going to have to believe all the worst things about some of your favorite people. because I think many of these distractions we've had have been just that, so we wouldn't be paying attention. But evil lurks in this world. It really does. So you have to stay vigilant and ask for deliverance and be the deliverance. You dig? You got to be the change. You've got to stand up. Listen, I don't think Jimmy Kimmel is funny, but I canceled Hulu. When they start going for censorship, a lot of hypocrisy has gone down in this country, but freedom of speech is supposed to be the bedmark. And it's not freedom of speech unless we talk about Israel. That's wrong, because that's really what it's about. And Trump hates Jimmy Kimmel because Jimmy Kimmel talks shit about him. That's it. That's what's going on there. But now they're also doing these sweeping uh, proposals of, we can't talk about certain things or we can't talk about things, and they really want America to be pro-Israel, and people are starting to be like, but we're not, and they're getting mad on their return on investment. Because it's like, well, we've poured millions upon millions of dollars into a lot of people's pockets to make that a reality. Why isn't that the reality? And you need to ask yourself, why would Israel be funding everybody in Congress except for two people? And there are other organizations besides AIPAC that fund money and buy policy. Why? On behalf of another country. And you have to ask yourself why. It has to be some sort of financial thing. It has to be about the money. But it is really disconcerting because when you look around, Americans are suffering and they're sending boatloads of cash out of here every day. Our cash, our money. And you have to ask why. And why won't anybody do anything? It's almost like, why do we vote? All the big things we don't get any say on anyway. That might just be a scam, just like to make you feel like you have power, but you don't. And then both parties are super corrupted, deeply corrupted. I don't know. I'm just ready to go get on a farm and be quiet and impactful and off the grid because I'm telling you, this is some gnarly work. And it's only going to get worse before it gets better. Although it is hard to imagine it getting too much worse because they are just playing in our faces at this point.